Hey everybody, it's Rob Avis here, and I'm with my wife Michelle. And tonight we're going to be talking about the property we just bought, but specifically about buying a property and some of the challenges that we faced. Because not that you really care about our challenges, but I suspect that the challenges that we faced are similar to what other people face. So we're going to talk a little bit about our process, some of the tools that we use did use to find the property, why it took so long, um, and hopefully, as we talk through this, it will give you guys some ideas. One of the things that we're going to close with tonight is potentially suggesting a live stream at some point so you guys can log on to YouTube and ask us some questions. So as we're going through the video this evening, think about questions that you have about buying land, maybe some struggles that you're having, and put them in the comment section. We are keeping an eye on it. The last video that we did had an unbelievable number of comments in it, overwhelming number of comments. So we haven't actually gotten back to all of you guys yet, but we will eventually.
We'll incorporate everything in future videos for reading them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if you've got a burning question, put it up there. And feel free to vote it up if you want it to get more attention, or put it in a second time. And the ones that get asked the most often are the ones that we're probably going to address soonest. We were looking for land for, I was trying to remember actually when we started. I mean, we quit our jobs, we went traveling. That was like a 3-year process, I think, from start to finish. And then I ended up in Australia for 6 months. And then 9 months after that, Rowan magically showed up in our life, which was about when we started. That's almost 10 years ago. Actually, it's 10 years ago, actually, because Rowan's turning 9. So I know that people kind of saw us as this urban permaculture company that was teaching permaculture, and people were wondering why it was taking us so long to find a piece of rural property. And we weren't sitting on our butts. We were working hard. We looked at a lot of properties. I'm just trying to remember all the different properties we went to go and see. I mean, if we had to go back, I don't know if you remember that property east of Edmonton. It was like a burned out Hutterite farm that we looked at. My dad was connected to that. There's one near Bashaw.
We looked all through BC.
Through BC, multiple farms in BC. We even looked at some places in Saskatchewan. I remember getting close to buying a property just east of Saskatoon. And that's actually kind of a nice segue, because what was it that ended up swaying us one way to the other?
I think... in all honesty, one thing that we did, which I'm really happy about, is even though I think we felt that we wanted this thing, which is land and a house, early on, probably 5 or 6 years ago, we put together our holistic context about what we truly wanted, and stated what we truly wanted in terms of kind of the quality of life and what we valued more than anything else, and staying away from the things, right? And that exercise of really clearly defining what we truly valued and what we truly wanted in our life slowed us down from jumping into buying property, because it helped us see that at the time where we were at in our life with businesses and a young family, what we really needed in our life to live the kind of quality of life we wanted was family support. And that kept us here in Calgary. So I'd say saying that we were slow to move is actually putting the focus on the wrong thing. I think we were really, really intentional in creating the right kind of quality of life that was most important to us. And really what happened is that we've been transitioning out of that phase where, Things always change. The only thing constant is change. And our kids are getting a little bit older, and we were feeling like our business was more mature. And in the last year and a half, the intensity of looking for property has really, really did increase.
It was at a slow burn though for the entire time.
Yeah, but we would find something, and then we would say, if we bought this property, will it get us closer to what we truly value and want in our life? And every time when we went through it, the answer was no, and
Totally.
that we were better off staying put for the short term.
Yeah, and to tie into that, there's a couple of points that you made there. So we have this saying that, and actually we got this saying from a buddy of ours, Bill Swan, that you only do 2 of the 3 B's. And Dakota and I have actually made 4 B's now. So it's building, businesses, and babies. And so we had a business and we had babies, and I mean, you could change the word building with farm.
Yeah. Well, we weren't sure if we would build from scratch.
But the idea is
either.
that you can only take on so much before you burn out.
Yeah.
And so you're right. We were definitely feeling like with the amount of time we wanted to spend with our kids, adding some more complexity to our life was just not a good fit. That's number one. And that's actually something that I see a lot in my consulting practice is that people take on too much at the expense of their marriage or the expense of their relationship with their kids. Number 2 was that people, I don't think, put enough emphasis in buying the right piece of land. So we have another saying that we use a lot in our consulting and also in our education piece in the Adaptive Habitat course, that you either change your values and vision, which is what you refer to as the context. So context is kind of a word that represents what's your vision and what are your values, what do you hold that are important to you. And you either change your values and vision to meet the land, or you find a piece of land that supports your values and your vision. And so one of the things that we did right from the beginning, as Michelle was saying, is that we spent time to describe our values and vision on one page. And this is loosely based around Holistic Management International and the Savory Hub. And we've made our own kind of modifications to it. But basically, it's a sheet that Michelle and I can use that describes the compass heading that we want to take our family and our lives and our business, so that when we're looking at big decisions like buying a piece of land or even sometimes smaller decisions like should we buy this car, should we buy that car, anytime that we're essentially mineralizing resources, any kind of resource, time, money, energy, we look to make sure that it's actually going to move us closer towards our holistic context or our values and our vision. And we have 7 testing questions that we use, which we're not going to get into tonight. But this was super important. And so if you're currently looking for land and you haven't actually had that conversation with your partner, whether it's a business partner, whether it's your significant other, whether it's grown-up kids that you're looking to invest with, that's probably the first thing, because if you don't have something to agree upon, then going out and spending a pile of money on a property is probably not a good use of time or money. So this was tool number 1, and you can actually figure out how to do your own values and vision on your own by using our Google Earth Pro Adaptive Habitat tool. And so that's open source, and we'll leave a link to that tool in the show notes below so that you can go and get started on building this. Then number 2 is actually using a tool like Google Earth Pro itself, which is basically Google's, I'm not going to call it open source because I don't think it is open source, but it's free. It's their graphical information system, and it really only has 4 tools on it, but allows you to start categorizing the different properties that you look at because it has the whole world on it. And so now you can use this tool, and as you're looking at properties, you can make notes about specific things. And because what happens when you start looking at 5, 10, 15 properties, you start to lose all the details. You can't keep them all straight in your head. And it's not always necessarily that you're going to go back and look at all of those details, but understanding the price and what you liked about what you didn't like about it allows you to kind of create a bit of a metric to see whether or not a property actually fits. And Michelle was really diligent about capturing those properties on Google Earth Pro and taking photos and making notes, which really was great for us to look back on from time to time just to see and compare different properties, which is really good. And then in conjunction with that, we've actually built an app, which is at contourmapgenerator.com, which not only allowed us to look at Google Earth Pro from space, so the land from space, plus we had photos when we were on the property and notes from the realtor, but we could actually go out and get contour maps. So why are contour maps so important, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, a contour map basically is a huge indication of water and water flow directions, right? Water will always flow perpendicular to contour. And tied to our context in the bioregion we were looking at, and the rainfall patterns here in Alberta, when we wrote our quality of life and what we value and what we would need to be able to achieve that quality of life, water security was near top of the list. So we were really interested in understanding the potential of the land for us to be able to passively capture, harvest, store water, right?
Totally.
And surface water as well was a really big consideration, something we were really interested in trying to find.
Absolutely. So as Michelle's talking here, I've just actually gone over to contourmapgenerator.com, and you can kind of get a sense of what's going on here. And so this map allows you to quickly look at various properties. You can toggle on different layers. And then from there, you can actually see that we get contour maps, and it even tells you the elevation of each of the contour lines. And so you can quickly do almost a little pre-feasibility study on your property. Michelle was alluding to the fact that contour lines or a contour map is essentially an indication as to how water moves across a property. It also gives us indications about microclimate. It tells us where there's opportunities and problems, and where potentially to put roads and access, where to place our structures. In fact, the whole concept of permaculture is based around this idea of water, access, and structures. And so a little axiom that I like to tell my students is that every element on a property can be determined. So where you place an element, or where you place every element on a property, can be determined entirely based upon whether it wants water or doesn't want water. So structures don't want water because you'll erode the foundations, whereas food forests and livestock to a point, pasture, ponds, those things, ducks, those things want water in certain dose-dependent amounts. And so if you understand the water flows, it's kind of the master element on the property, then all of the other stuff starts to fall into place. And so if you're looking at a property with pre-existing infrastructure, not only walking the land and seeing kind of what problems might exist is really important, but those contour lines might give you a really great indication. So I'm just going to draw another map here on another property and see if we can get more interesting contours. And so on the contour map generator, the little box right here is used to draw a box around the property. You can scroll down here on the left-hand side. You can change the contour interval, and notice that you can either put it in feet if you're in the US or meters if you're in Canada. I don't usually go much less than 2 meters. 2 or 3 meters is pretty good. The data on here varies quite a bit, and so some places on Earth we've found are pretty much spot on, and other places are pretty much completely horrible and you shouldn't use it. And that's why we've got this free version of the tool up here so that you can actually test to see if it's remotely close.
Preview the contours.
Exactly. Yeah. So this has got a much more interesting contour pattern on it. And so you can kind of see that we've got a valley right here and we've got a ridge. And so this one, if it was ground truth, might be worth taking to the next step. And so if you find a really good contour map that you want to download, you can actually download it and bring it into Google Earth Pro. It's $20. that basically allows us to pay for the web hosting and some of the software development on the back end. This then gets imported into a KMZ, and then you can start doing analysis with our free open source tools, which you'll also get access to. So if you just go to the sign me up here, then you'll see right now it's just $15 Canadian. So if you're in the US, that's pretty much free because of the exchange rate. And I'd love for you guys to take it for a spin and let us know what you think. So I know that we only just barely scratched the surface of buying a piece of property, and I know that there's tons and tons of questions we didn't even answer. So we wanted to make this video to kind of open up the floodgates, so to speak. So if you've got specific questions about land, we're almost at 13 or 14 minutes right now, so we'll probably call this the end of this video pretty quickly here. But put it in the comments section below. This video was actually ideated because we got a lot of comments about buying land, and so if you've got specific questions about buying land, we'd love to make a bunch of videos about that. This is still the very beginning part of this series, and so we're kind of just feeling out where we want it to go. But the idea here is that now that we've got land, we're going to show you guys or bring you along on our journey and make content that helps you along with your journey. And as we're going along, we're going to be using some of the tools that we use with our clients and with our students. So you'll be able to use some of those tools as well. And yeah, we're just looking to have a good time and share some of our knowledge and get a bunch of your guys' feedback and hopefully produce a bit of value for all of you great YouTube viewers out there. So I don't know, do you have any closing thoughts there, Michelle?
No.
Okay, guys. Well, we'll look forward to your comments below. Give us a like if you found that useful. And you'll notice that I'm wearing a Verge shirt. There's a whole bunch of shirts for sale down below. And so if you find this content valuable and you want to wear some of our merch, it always helps kind of grease the wheels on this end and keep the wheels on the bus, so to speak. So it really helps us out. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video.